It's about 6:30. I think we're ready to rock and roll with this thing. On behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, I'd like to welcome you all. My name is Ron Dwelly. I will be the moderator tonight. I'm one of the directors. A number of our other directors are here. Scott Burr will be our official timekeeper. He's got a yellow sheet down there that will come up when the candidate has 30 seconds left, and a red sheet when they run out of time. Sitting over here, Bruce Tallotson is also one of our directors. John in the back, who's hidden back there in the shadows. I can't see you, but I know you're there. If you would all join with me in our flags, rise for our flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Just a quick run through of our agenda for tonight. We will start off after we finish this part of the welcome with the Measure K. People will give us a little rundown on the bond measure. Following that, we will do city council candidates. That will be, each will start off with a 2.5-minute thing about themselves, why they want to be on the city council. 6:45, we go to questions and answers, and then we have a 90-second wrap-up by each candidate. Following that, we will take a break for cookies and punch. At 7:35, provided everything's on time, and Scott does a good job with his timing, we will introduce the supervisor candidates. Then we'll have questions and answers, 2.5-minute wrap-up by each candidate, and then afterwards there will be coffee or cookies and punch out in the lobby. So with that, let me introduce Mindy Bach, who is a Measure K representative, and she can tell you a little about Measure K.
Thank you very much. Thanks for letting us be here tonight to talk about Measure K. I am representing the committee, which is a grassroots community effort to assist Bret Hart in the passage of this bond measure. The school board unanimously voted in the spring to pass this bond measure and put it on the November ballot. So let me tell you a little bit about it. Measure K is a school improvement facility bond measure that authorizes $18 million plus the opportunity to have state matching funds for improvements in school facilities. It's going to be backed up by assessment on all real property within the Bret Hart School District. People immediately ask, what is that going to cost? The assessment is going to be no more than, but possibly less than, $12.20 per $100,000 of valuation, and that's the assessed valuation. So that is much lower even than the property value that you know that you have. So that's what backs it up. What the measure is going to do here at Bret Hart is to improve facilities. We're going to get improvements in science classrooms, other buildings here that have not been improved in over 40 years. It will provide monies for the building of an aquatic center that will be open to the community, and that will be over by the current new tennis courts. You may wonder where the funding came from this building. As you recall, this was not any sort of bond measure. It had nothing to do with the citizens. This was a result of insurance money after that fire that some of us remember here. So it has been over 30 years, actually almost 40 years, since the Bret Hart School Board has put a bond measure on the ballot. In fact, many of you remember when my father was superintendent, a lot of years, he never had a bond measure. So they've been very conservative about that and have picked this particular time to put it on the ballot, and we really appreciate the support because I went to Bret Hart. I walk in some of the classrooms now. I won't tell you how many years ago, but it was several. And the facilities are well maintained, but largely the same. So last time I was up here, I gave some cute anecdotes about how our swim team has to practice at Calaveras, and for those of us who don't ever like to be subject to Calaveras and understand old rivalries, that's a bummer. I talked about, the value to you as a property owner in keeping the school upgraded and attractive to new families. But that was a week ago, and a lot has changed in a week, and I was thinking about tonight, what would strike a chord with us. How many of you have noticed there's a few things going on in Wall Street and Congress these last few days? Anybody? You know, I was thinking about that, and we've heard every time I turn the TV on, someone saying, well, Wall Street is going to come to Main Street, and here's how it's going to affect you. Wall Street's going to come to Main Street, and here's how it's going to affect you. Then they start talking about some of these acts of Congress that are reactive to the problems that are generated from our society as a whole. The Glass-Steagall Act that they made after the Depression, and then they repealed in '99, and now they want to have it come back, and all these things that are reactive to problems in our society from the top down. I grew up in this community. I went to school at Bret Harte. I don't currently have students here, but I care very deeply about the school. And from my experience, and I think many of you, this community pulls together and does things proactively. We see a need, we make a small sacrifice, and we get it done, and we see a return on our investment. A lot of us are concerned about our investments these days. I've boiled this investment down to, for the cost of one Starbucks latte a month, this school bond measure can be funded by each and every one of you to provide facilities that we can all use. This morning, irrespective of all the turmoil on Wall Street and all the deliberations in Congress, I could still get up, come to the tennis court, and hit a few balls with my son and his grandfather. So you can do that any day of the week with what we've provided. And I'm hoping that the community sees the value in investing now in not only the youth, but in our community. You see a real jump in your property values, and when all the Wall Street people want to move here and get out of the turmoil they're in, they can say, hey, you know, that little Bill Gates magnet school my kid was going to, or he's learning how to make oil out of algae, can happen here at Bret Harte because they've upgraded their science facilities, and they can be on the swim team, and maybe I could be crying when Michael Phelps, you know, wins his 5th race, and I'm seeing all those endorsement dollars come in. So we tried to find a way to make ourselves a little unique tonight because I know you're going to be hearing from a lot of candidates. So the Measure K committee asked me to write up a little something to help you remember Measure K when you go to the polls. When I was at Bret Harte, I aspired to be like a Keats or a Shelley or a Wordsworth. But somehow when I was in Mrs. Chowning's class, I settled in on the limerick. And somehow I cannot get beyond that. So we have a Measure K limerick for you, and then I'm going to turn it back over to the rest of the candidate night. We thought we'd pen a few short lines and try to address, through simple rhyme, this financial riptide being felt worldwide, for we are living in tumultuous times. It seems all eyes have turned to the feds. Each decision brings a new wave of dread. And like Hurricane Ike, we have seen markets spike from ramifications of what Bernanke last said. It's been weeks of financial tag, causing markets and confidence to sag, make failures at rapid speed, and cover layers of unmitigated greed, and investors feel like they're left holding the bag. From blue-collar workers to small-town bank tellers, to tech innovators and grumpy short sellers, new information is so rapid while legislation seems vapid, we wait for Congress to present a plan they find stellar. On top of that, we must make a selection in a very contentious election. The pundits and polls have been on a loud roll, pummeling our airwaves with all their predilections. But in whatever direction you vote, remember too that the markets will take note. While the change of administration will cause many elation, there may be some more rough seas facing our financial boat. But this is not the first storm Angel's Camp has weathered. Over the years, our community remains tethered to investing in our youth. Our generous giving has been proof that we are all anchored in this boat together. So as the school board proposes this new bond in the midst of elections and a Wall Street swan song, let us keep our investments local. This quiet giving will be vocal, proving grassroots efforts have always made our country strong. So vote yes on our own Measure K and tell all of your friends on the way that we can give our economy a kickstart when we invest in Bret Harte and change the future by wise actions today. So, yay! Vote for Measure K. One last thing, we have a brochure in the back. Answer all of your specific questions. If you have some more, there will be a community oversight team making sure the money's spent properly. All of the bases have been covered, and that is in the back if you haven't received one already. We also have this card. If you're a business owner and would like to endorse, put your name on Measure K, we will make sure it's put on a sign all over the county. We're going to probably put some ads up, and we'd like to list some names of people that have some influence in the community that support Measure K. So please, if you have any questions, we hope you're interested, and you ask Bruce in the back and grab a brochure and tell all your friends. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mindy. Before we move on to the city council candidates, I'd like to introduce the Mark Twain Elementary candidates that we have here tonight. We've got Jenny Eltringham, you're out there somewhere. Jenny, can you stand up? You were here earlier. Oh, she's out in the lobby. She's babysitting tonight. And Dwayne Jackson. Where are you, Dwayne? You're out here too. Okay, on the city council, what we did was we're just going to do the introductions by they're alphabetical. We'll start first with Jack Boding. Jack, you want to come up to the podium here? And you'll have 2.5 minutes to tell everybody about yourself.
Good evening. It's good to see you all here. Welcome. Thank you very much for coming. My name is Jack Boding, and I'm running for the Angels Camp City Council. But this night is not about me or my 3 other compadres. It is about you, the citizens of this community, because you need to elect the council that is best for the city of Angels. I would also like to thank the previous councils that have done such a good job keeping Angels a very, very nice place to live. And it couldn't have been done without the dedication and support of the people that gave their time to be on these councils. It is the responsibility of the city or government, whatever you want to call it, to provide services for this community. There's a lot of key issues that are facing it, and we'll get into that in a minute. The thing that I love about Angels Camp, or the things that I love about Angels Camp, are it is a neat mountain community. I love the legacy streets, the narrow legacy streets. Doesn't bother me to have to back up to let somebody by. It doesn't bother me to even have to pull into a driveway. We have an excellent school system, Mark Twain and Bret Hart. It's been my home for almost 35 years, Calaveras County and Angels Camp. I have been on the Calaveras County Chamber of Commerce. I'm now the past president for about 1.5 years. I've been president. I was also on the city council back in the 70s. I hate to date myself that way, but that's what it was. And also been a member of United Way Board of Directors and spent a stint in the U.S. Navy. Was born in the Midwest, came to California, lived in service, and never left. Been here ever since. The city's problems, as I see it, the key issues are we have infrastructure problems, mainly the cost. I get hammered on a lot by our citizens, and you can't blame them because the cost of our water and sewer is very high. However, there is not a day goes by that I, as a member of the city council now, do not try to work on some plan that will give us some kind of, I shouldn't say immediate, but some kind of quick relief. We have infrastructure things that we have to do, and these are not things that the city council dreams up. These are things that are mandated to us, such as improving our sewer plant and so on. Anyhow, another problem we have is circulation. We're now getting the bypass, but that's not going to by any means solve all of our problems. We do have street circulation problems. And we also have problems with our retail structure. We need to improve our business climate, not only to get new people to come to this town or new businesses. We also need to help the ones here make a good living. And I thank you very much for coming.
Okay, next on the list would be Elaine Morris. Elaine, could you come up here?
My name's Elaine Morris, and I want to give you a little bit of my background and why I believe that I am qualified to be elected to the City Council. I've been in Calaveras County for over 19 years and have been a resident of Angels Camp for over 13 years. I'm retired and I can give my full attention to being a City Council member. I am presently serving my 3rd year on the Planning Commission, which has given me much insight into planning issues. I also served on the General Plan Committee for 4 years, first as a public member and later as a planning commissioner. I'm also a member of the Traffic Circulation Committee. I strongly believe it is important to have more open, accountable, and responsive government. I will promote and support more public participation on important issues and concerns affecting the community as a whole, as well as problems and concerns that may arise in specific neighborhoods in the city. Public participation can be achieved by having public forums or workshops wherein the public is allowed to present their ideas, concerns, and possible solutions. Rather than spending so much time on consultants, the city may find solutions to their problems for the diverse population living in Angels Camp. The draft 2020 general plan is now out for public review. I believe that the general plan, when adopted, has the policies and programs in place that will allow the city to maintain the quality of life and sense of community we all enjoy. That is, if the city adheres diligently to the plan and doesn't try to reinvent the wheel. I also will be supportive of the following: maintain the quality of life and rural small town atmosphere, preserve the historic downtown, and maintain the Gold Rush and Western Town theme of the historic district. Preserve the cultural heritage of Angels Camp, preservation and rehabilitation of the city's historic assets, preservation of the city's natural landscapes, economic development that promotes tourism and recreation and agriculture, and maintain the city as a distinct separate community. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. Up next would be Jay Shoup. Jay, if you could come up here to the podium, please. He left. He's coming running up here. He'll be sweating. Your time started 5 minutes ago.
Hello, my name is Jay Shoup. If you don't already know me, I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself, about my family. Thanks for taking the time out of your evening. Sorry, Elaine, I could adjust that up just a tiny bit. I moved to Angels Camp about 5.5 years ago with my family, my wife Shauna, my daughter Savannah, who's a first grader this year in CFLC. My office is right downtown Angels Camp. It's kind of wedged in between Stories and Stones and Turner's Wild West. It used to be the Calaveras, long ago it used to be Central Sierra Bank, and before that a few other things. Raggio's Meat Market, I think, or something there. Of course, historic building, love working downtown, and love being a part of the city. As far as my experiences in public service, I currently serve as a director on the Calaveras Community Foundation, which is your Calaveras kind of an umbrella over all of the organizations and charities, and we give grants and scholarships to worthy recipients. With regards to my ideas of what issues are facing the city, everybody's brought up the topic of water and sewer costs, and I'd like to try and have a hand in figuring out ways to reduce those for residents. I'd like to see the log trucks get off of Highway 49, off of Main Street downtown, just take 49 somehow out of Main Street, where we've got a good start with Highway 4 bypass. I'd also like to figure out a way to help businesses not just come to Angels Camp, but also to stay and thrive in Angels Camp. One of the things I really don't like seeing is the vacancies down there, and I'd like to try and figure out ways to work on populating those vacancies. With regards to the branding plan, for those of you that are familiar with the Angels Camp branding plan, I think it's an excellent idea. I'd like to work on driving that branding plan forward, and with no disrespect to the folks that are on the commission or to my elders, when you're trying to brand something as the base camp of the foothills, and particularly mountain sports community, I think you're going to need youthful ideas and fresh ideas to kind of drive that plan forward. And I think that I'm full of youthful ideas. So thanks for taking the time, and I'll look forward to answering any other questions.
Thank you, Jay. Last but not least, Craig Turco.
There's a curse of the alphabet. Thank you. My name is Craig Turco. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a retired manager from UPS with 27 years of service. I have extensive experience in complex budget analysis, fiscal controls, operational planning, and regulatory compliance. I come from a business culture that in order to succeed, you had to be proactive and you had to be an advocate of accountability. During the last 3 years, I've attended the majority of the City Council meetings and many of the Planning Commission meetings. I've also participated in the city's budget workshops as well as the General Plan Circulation Committee sessions. I'm a fiscal conservative who understands the real importance of responsible spending. I'm married with 2 children and a very spoiled Brittany Spaniel named Dusty. He wanted to get his name in the paper. A little bit about the issues very quickly, since we don't have a lot of time. I strongly believe we need to build consensus within the city. Once in office, I will encourage and solicit participation from all parts of the city. And I will encourage healthy debate as an effective tool for problem solving. We will only prosper if we're united. With regard to circulation, I oppose a circulation plan which promotes regional traffic through our residential neighborhoods. I feel that this type of irresponsible planning adversely affects the quality of life in our neighborhoods. I will strongly support the most logical approach to circulation, and that is the Southeast Bypass. With regards to water and wastewater, there's not enough time to articulate my concerns in 3 minutes. Suffice to say, I have some real concerns regarding the sizable monies in these accounts, as well as some operational issues. With regards to growth, I'm in favor of managed growth. Sewage capacity and our infrastructure will keep some of our growth in check. I do believe, however, that our growth should be at a threshold which will allow us to maintain our small town status. Fiscal controls, being a fiscal conservative, I'm very concerned with the large amount of money we have in our reserve fund. A healthy reserve is good, but our current levels are exceedingly high. At almost $2.9 million, this is as much as 5 to 6 times that of other cities our size. I think we need to explore this further. And lastly, as I have mentioned, I'm an advocate of accountability. I believe we need to hold our elected officials, city administration to an acceptable level of performance. I strongly feel this will encourage our city officials to be more proactive, responsive, and respectful of its constituents. I thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Craig. Here we've got some questions here that were prepared. I'd like to remind everybody that you will have 2.5 minutes to respond. What we'll do is there basically is 4 questions here. We'll start from the left to the right, and then the next one will be from the right to the left, so that everybody gets a fair shot, except for those guys in the middle. product of the alphabetical order. All right, our first question, I guess, and would be starting with Jack. Angels Camp's water and sewer rates are significantly higher than surrounding districts. How do you plan to address this issue? And you've got 2.5 minutes.
Yes, our water rates are higher, mostly because of the sewer system. However, the immediate answer is very, very tough. We have, as a council, we have kicked around ideas such as a raise in the DOT tax. The city of Angels currently is 10%. If we raised it to 12%, or took it to the voters to raise it to 12%, that would at least stop the increase in sewer tax and water tax as we know it now. Also, we've talked about a 0.25% increase in the city sales tax. These are all taxes that other people would share with us, except on the TOT, of course, other people, travelers would pay for that. The long term is not really that much brighter, except for the fact that we have a little more time to work on it. I think that the TOT tax is not a bad idea. I'm not too sure about the sales tax. And with that in mind, the only thing that the city council can do is try. One other alternative is just keep going the way they are, and when they come to us and say you've got to do this or you've got to do that, we have no other choice but to pass it on. Anyhow, I think the short term is we're working on it almost at every meeting, and it's been brought up a lot of times. Thank you.
Elaine, would you like me to repeat the question?
I believe investigating raising the TOT would be one way you could go. You could also do something like limiting your water and sewer connections based on growth projections of, say, 2 to 3.2%, and you could have a growth management plan that would be in line with your capital improvement program. Sales tax and TOT taxes would take a vote of the people, so we have to make sure that the people want to tax themselves to keep our water rates lower.
Jay, would you like me to repeat the question? Okay. Angels Camp water and sewer rates are significantly higher than the surrounding districts. How do you plan to address the issue?
For those of you that aren't familiar with the transient occupancy tax, when we use the definition TOT, people that come and stay overnight in Angels Camp, a portion of their accommodations is collected in the form of a tax. That's what TOT is. I like the idea of using TOT. I also would like the idea of maybe creating a public forum where we could throw out some ideas as to what might be a solution. I recall when PG&E offered an incentive to you, if you cut your usage by a certain percentage, you got a discount off your next month's bill. That might be one way to make it immediate, as opposed to worrying about future development, potentially paying for it. It's going to be some time before we have significant future development in our community. And I think with getting the community involved and trying to come up with other ideas, maybe ideas that are outside the box, I think is a great thing. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Jay. Craig, do you want me to repeat the question?
No.
Okay.
I'm clear. First of all, I don't favor any type of tax until we absolutely have to. And I think you need to look really closely into the water and wastewater funds that we have. We have a combined fund of over $6 million for the water wastewater fund. It's up 300,000 from last year at this time. And I guess you have to ask yourself, why is so much money going into that fund? And I think we need to take a close look at that. We've got some other internal things we need to take a look at. There's $780,000 that go into that fund, and 2/3 of which is the city hall's overhead. 2/3 of which is the city attorney's cost. Why is that being flowed into these enterprise accounts? So I think there's some things we need to do internally before we talk about any kind of tax. Then you talk a little bit about the problem we have is really the wastewater. And we're going to be in the hurt this coming winter because we go from 300,000 to 3 million gallons of water just in the winter months. And a lot of it is infiltration and inflow problems because we have people that have hooked up to our sewer system and illegally dumping into our sewer system. We know that because in 1998 we did some smoke testing, and I'm not certain, and I can't speak for the city, but I don't know how proactive we've been to go and see if we've fixed some of those problems. So, and there's a lot of other issues that we can talk about. We can get into some specifics about ultraviolet and all that kind of stuff because there's some operational issues that I mentioned earlier. I think before we go raising taxes and asking people to pony up more money, or even the tourists that come into our town, I think we need to really take a close look at how some of these funds are being managed and what's going into them, and is there something internally that we can fix first? Then let's go look outside and take a look at if we need to do taxes. I'm also in favor of what our sister city Jackson is doing. They've got a program that they budget each year to fix certain amounts of the sewer system. We don't have that in place right now. And so I would like to promote that type of proactive mentality so we don't have to have huge chunks of construction costs to fix some of our sewer lines. So that's my feeling of water wastewater.
Thank you, Greg. Excuse me. Continuing on that same thing about water and sewer, some of the current city council members have expressed a desire to consolidate with Murphy's for cost efficiencies. Angels represents only 7% of the residents, and Murphy's is even less. Do you believe this is the best answer for the current problems concerning the capacity that's facing the city? Craig, you get to start that one.
Yeah, I can answer that because I don't really have enough knowledge to know if that's a good plan or not. I haven't researched that, so for me to make a comment about that, I would be speaking out of turn. I've heard that we've talked about joining the CCWD. I guess there's benefits and some negatives with regards to that. But to respond to that question without doing some research, I would be doing it just so I really can't respond to that.
Excuse me, I would agree. I have very limited knowledge of that situation. The idea of having a larger population to spread the costs across seems like a logical solution. More people connecting to the same system in one environment, but I don't know enough about it to really comment, so I apologize for that. But we'll find out more.
Okay, Elaine, do you want me to read the question again?
No.
Okay.
I am of the opinion, I don't know that much about the working with Murphy's, but my own opinion on this would be that I would think we could cooperate, work cooperatively with Murphy's, but I'm against regionalizing anything, and I want to keep each community separate.
And Jack?
Well, like the rest of my cohorts, I don't know anything. I shouldn't say anything. I don't know very much about the Murphy's thing either. It's been suggested and brought before the council. However, I do think that it is something that could be looked into, or if it proves feasible, why not? But it's got to be something that would give us enough increase in ratepayers that it would make it worthwhile for each individual household. And I don't know that that's possible if we just hook everything between Murphy's and Angels Camp together. It still doesn't seem like the the ratepayer number would be large enough.
Okay, thank you. Jack, you're going to start off with this one, number 3. How do you see the economic development in the City of Angels? Where and what type of businesses do you foresee?
Well, I see the economic development of Angels going along the Highway 49 strip, along the shopping center, the types of businesses. I don't think we necessarily need a bunch more pops and moms downtown. The historic district has quite a few vacancies at this time. The branding committee has been set up and it is starting its foray into the community to try to get our brand working. That will take a lot of time. We're not talking about months, you're talking about years. The thing we also need is jobs. I think we passed a bond issue 3 or 4 years ago for Columbia College to build a campus here, and I think we should stay on that hot and heavy because that will bring jobs. I think they need to do a lot of vocational training. There's not too many places up here that need rocket scientists or brain surgeons, but we do need mechanics and those kind of things.
Thank you, Jack. Elaine?
The city has 4 distinct commercial areas in the city. We have the historical commercial, community commercial, shopping center commercial, and we have a new designation of visitor serving commercial. And I believe that all the residents in the City of Angels should get together with the Business Association, Chamber of Commerce. We should have a large workshop and decide what businesses we would like to have in each of the different shopping areas in the city.
And Jay, would you like me to repeat the question?
That's okay, thank you. As I mentioned in the opening comments regarding the branding plan, and I really do see that as a viable solution for the long term. If you're not familiar with the branding plan, there was some grant money was used to hire a consultant to help develop a brand for Angels Camp. And the preliminary ideas that they came up with were quite compelling and very well presented. And I think that we have the capacity and the ability to implement some of those ideas sooner than later, even though the long-term plan will take a significant amount of time. Anything that we can do to revitalize, not just downtown, but businesses all along the strip of Angels Camp. Again, the Highway 4 bypass I think is going to be great. If we have the ability to take Highway 49 off of Main Street. However, there's been a lot of things the Circulation Committee recently spoke about maybe moving the Victorian House and having a tie-in behind the bridges or whatever. I think that needs to really be a priority, just getting 49 out of town. Then we could shut it down when we want to, have parades, have events, have a 10K, have whatever, just to generate some activity downtown. With regards to the vacancies, as I mentioned, it's one of the things that I really don't like seeing when I go down there. And I think when people stop by, if they can stop by, one of the issues that we talked about outside of this is with regards to parking, finding parking solutions that might work so that when somebody's driving by and they see something that they want to stop, they can actually pull over and park somewhere, or where is parking. Those are things that I think we need to work on. And a couple other ideas. One idea that I was talking to with a friend about trying to link up some of the businesses and the times that they're open. As you know, 5:30, 6 o'clock downtown Angels Camp is quiet. What if you talk to your theater proprietor and the restaurateurs and the wine taster and you said, hey, let's put something together. Once a month maybe we have dinner and a movie night and we stimulate some activity in the PM hours down there. There's just different things that you can do to create some activity, and that will breed further activities, taking action. And so, again, I support also the branding plan and look forward to working on driving that forward.
Thank you. Craig, you're next on this question again. How do you see economic development in the City of Angels? Where and what type of businesses do you foresee?
I support an expansion of small to medium-sized commercial and manufacturing businesses. I think, in my opinion, I feel these businesses should complement our small-town character. I think we can be very effective in bringing businesses in. I think we need to be a little creative. In all the city council meetings I've attended, I've yet to see any discussion about incentives to some of the business owners downtown to bring in customers. And they do this in other locations everywhere, where you offer incentives to some of these small business owners to allow them to come in, get a start, and open it up. We could fill our vacancies downtown that way, and then through discussions with our current business community, develop a plan to bring other small and medium-sized businesses into town. I'd like to see Angels Camp stay somewhat small. That is my vision. I may be the only one voting that, or the only one with that opinion, and if I am, then I'll have to go with the consensus, but that's how I see things. The other thing I would like to see is that we have a pretty strong business council. The ACBA is pretty active, but I've yet to see a city council meeting where members of ACBA sit down in a roundtable workshop, kind of like we do with the Planning Commission and City Council, and have a roundtable discussion about things, how we can move forward. And I think that would be a proactive approach to using some of the resources, using the business community to have them solicit more, again, small and medium-sized commercial and manufacturing opportunities.
Thank you, Craig. Okay. The last question for you from the floor here would be, and Craig, you're going to start off with this one. How important is a southern bypass route to the city? If so, where should the route be, and when do you think the timing should be?
Well, the timing should be now, but that's not possible. I'm an absolute advocate of a southeast bypass. Several years ago, with several of us in the community, we were very active in soliciting a lot of signatures to support the southeast bypass. In the original general plan, it was kind of an afterthought. And then there was some discussion about the southeast bypass. Well, that'll never happen. That'll never happen in your lifetime. Now it's actually part of the RTP, the county's regional transportation. They're thinking, well, maybe this is a pretty darn good idea. And as I mentioned in my opening, we need to find a way of circulation to get the trucks out of downtown. We need to find a way to allow, if we have a problem at the southern part of 449, to be able to help our residents in the annex. And going through residential neighborhoods is not a good idea. I'm not in favor of the Kurt extension. If that's still going to be on the books, it may be a moot point with the bypass. I'm not in favor of the Greenhorn Creek Finnegan Lane extension. And a lot of people don't recognize that with the proposed Greenhorn Creek road extension, it extends on to Finnegan Lane. There's talking about 4,900 cars passing through Finnegan Lane. Now that's just crazy in my opinion. But, and again, that's just my opinion. But I strongly feel that the southeast bypass is the true alternative and the only logical alternative. I will bring up one other point. The Angels Camp bypass was the #1 priority with the RTP. The #2 is the wagon trail project on Highway 4, the windy curve. It's about a $50 million, it's going to be about $70 million it's going to cost to straighten that out. And although that's important, in my opinion, that priority should be shifted to the southeast bypass because that is truly a regional issue. And that will do wonders for the downtown. That will do wonders for the circulation part of the locals, which are really the regional people going through the City of Angels. And it will solve a lot of the level of service that's going to be happening down at the 449 intersection. So I'm absolutely in favor of the I'm absolutely in favor of the southeast bypass, and I think it is the only logical approach to circulation in the city.
Thank you, Craig. Jay, you're up next on how important is a southern route bypass to the city? If so, where should the route be, and what do you think the timing should be?
I agree also that Southeast Bypass is a great solution. The timing of it, hopefully it can happen within my lifetime. If not, maybe a shorter term solution that the Victorian house that I was talking about, which is for sale down there, maybe the city think about buying that house and nudge 49 over right there and just cut across behind the bridges and have that be a shorter term solution versus the longer term solution of creating the entire Southeast Bypass. And I couldn't agree more completely. Anything that we can do to try and find solutions to redirect money that gets these projects done sooner so that downtown can thrive and grow sooner, whether it's attracting someone to take the hotel project or anything that we can do to make it more attractive, taking those log trucks off of 49, we'll do it.
And thank you, Jay. Elaine, would you like me to repeat the question?
I believe the Southeast Bypass is an important to connect with the Highway 4 bypass that is now being constructed. The Highway 4 bypass will take some of the traffic through the downtown area on Highway 49 off of there. And if the Southeast Bypass is constructed, that will remove more traffic because they can just go around, and it would take the trucks that way that wanted to go up towards Arnold and Bear Valley and places like that. And for the timing, I don't know. I think instead of spending money that was set aside by Caltrans to do the downtown bridges, they should do as little as possible and put that money towards the Southeast Bypass, and it may be a reality sooner than we think. As far as our other roads that need to be extended or not extended, the Greenhorn Creek South extension to Highway 49 and the Angels Camp North extension to Highway 49 should be constructed as growth happens, development comes, and they should be building those roads at that time as residential streets.
Thank you, Elaine. Jack, would you like me to repeat the question?
I also believe the Southeast Extension should be built as soon as possible. We're spending $60 million to build the current bypass. God only knows what the next one would cost. There's a lot of things going to happen in the next couple of 3 years as far as Highway 4 from the 449 junction will be abandoned by Caltrans and given to the city. The city needs input from the public as to what to do with that intersection down there, whether it should be a roundabout, a left turn lane, and so on. No decisions have been made. Also, I think the Kirk Street extension should be built. There's very little disruption that we would do to residential or anything in that area. There's safety issues involved, public safety issues involved as far as getting police and fire and so on around the city. The Larry Bypass is not open anymore. But I do believe that the Southeast Bypass can be done a lot quicker than it took to do the Highway 4 bypass. And I think it takes a lot of grease on the wheels, but I think it can be done, and it may not be done in my lifetime, but it can be done in a much shorter period.
Thank you.
Maybe Jay's.
Okay. That's basically the crux of our prepared questions. We would like to invite you, members of the audience, to come up, ask your questions of the candidates. We'd like you to direct those questions, though, to all four candidates, not just one in particular. We got anybody out there that wants to volunteer with a question? There's a microphone right here to my right. Could you tell us your name?
Sure. Yeah, my name's Bob Neri, 312 Catalpa, Angels Camp. I think I know all four of you. How do you four feel about mixed zoning? That means, what I mean is having residential and commercial in the same neighborhoods?
Craig, you want to start?
Sure. Well, I think it's pretty well documented how I feel about it. I am absolutely opposed to indiscriminate land use and mixed zoning. Residential areas should be residential. Commercial property should be in appropriate commercial areas. And so I have some real issues with affecting the quality of life in our neighborhoods by putting in certain businesses or commercial property. It doesn't really matter what kind of business it is, because once it's a business or once it's commercial, then the folks that are in there may have good intentions, but then the next folks that come in may have a completely different business that they want to run. And if it falls within the category or the zoning ordinance, then they can certainly do that. There are some ordinances currently on the books that allow bars with other type of small retail areas. Now, would you want to have a bar or a lounge in a residential area? I just don't think it's appropriate. So I have some really strong issues with regards to indiscriminate land use. I think that we need to tighten up some of our ordinances. I've made it clear to the Planning Commission and to the City Council. As a matter of fact, just recently there was some resolutions passed that changed some mixed zoning to the what it should be, residential, because there's homes on those lots, single-family residential living in them, yet that they were zoned high density. So I think we have a lot of that throughout the city that we need to clean up, but I am opposed to mixed land use, especially in our residential areas. In the commercial areas, it gets a little different, a little dicey when you talk about certain kind of rural areas, but our residential areas should be left residential.
Jay?
With regards to mixed-use, commercial, and residential zoning, for infill projects such as downtown areas, I think it could be effective. I travel frequently to the Bay Area and have seen projects where you've got light commercial below residential. You even have it here in Murphy's where you've got some condo-type units above some of the stores down there on their main street. In those type of environments, I think they can work. And I would support if there was infill or somebody wanted to put some residential project inside downtown above some retail that they were also going to install. I think it'd be great.
And Elaine?
Okay. I would support mixed-use residential and commercial zones, as long as they would incorporate the Gold Rush Western style themes in the design of their buildings.
Jack?
I don't know if any of you have seen Copper Square, but they have done a beautiful job of doing just exactly what we're talking about. They have a nice commercial development with some residential infill on top. It's well, and as Jay says, there's some of that in Murphy's. I have no objection to that kind of zoning. I would hate to see a bar in Mark Twain Oaks, but or a bar in the middle of Angels Oaks. But the infill, as Jay says, or the residential above light commercial is, I think, okay with me.
Okay, do we have any other audience questions? Since I don't see anybody moving out there real quickly, and we're getting to the break time, are you coming up for a question? Yes, sir.
Steve DeFew, 576 Salsa Place, Angels Camp. I would like all four members of the panel there to answer this question specifically, and it was inspired by Elaine's answer about circulation. Do any of you four support extending Greenhorn Creek Boulevard through Finnegan Lane and through the annex part of this city to connect with Highway 49? Thank you.
Jack, you want to go first on that one?
There's tremendous opposition to this, of course, in the community of Greenhorn and Angels Oaks. We have, as city councilmen, we have a duty to protect our citizens. There's definitely public safety issues involved there. I'm not saying that a bypass through there is necessarily the answer. Right now, it seems to be the city street answer is what people are talking about. As far as supporting a bypass, I don't like the word bypass. I think a connector is a better word. As far as supporting a connector, if we can find no better way of doing it, I think it's something we have to do.
Elaine?
Since I started this, I'll say that I know no one wants roads going through their residential areas, but whether we support it or don't support it, it's going to go through there someday. Somebody's going to develop that property, and the road is going to go through as a residential street. So more or less, it's going to happen someday. That's all I can say.
Thank you. Jay?
I also agree with Elaine. I think that someday it will happen. I don't think the time for it is now, at least based on our needs. I do think that we do have issues that we have to address with regards to circulation, and particularly, again, safety issues, fire and safety and circulation problems. You know, if you have any kind of issue, you've heard people refer to Greenhorn Creek as being on a cul-de-sac before. In the sphere of influence in the Angels Camp General Plan, one solution is to connect Blair Mine Road to Stockton Road, which is one potential circulation kind of fix to add one additional ingress and egress into Greenhorn Creek. But I think it is inevitable that it's going to happen. If it was being voted on today, I wouldn't support it because I don't think it's necessary, but at some point in the future, it's probably inevitable.
And Craig?
Well, I'll take the position that we're voting on it today, and I'm opposed to the Greenhorn Creek Finnegan Lane extension. I probably don't have to tell most of the folks in this room, but safety services is not an issue. We have 4 firehouses in Angels Camp. We have 3 controlled accesses from Greenhorn Creek into the Gold Cliff area. One is Finnegan, one is Sierra, and one is McCauley. So I think we need to be realistic here about what that road will be. You know that secret road in Sonora that goes along Main Street called Stewart that nobody uses except locals? That's exactly what it's going to be. And in the discussions we had in the General Plan Circulation Committee and at the City Council, it was called a bypass. You know, and there's people in this room who called it a bypass. So let's be realistic about what this road is really going to be all about. I am not in favor, and also as part of the Greenhorn Creek extension, the circulation shows roads going through a road on Sierra McCauley, going through into the Gold Cliff area. I don't think we want to have regional traffic going up and through there. That's my opinion anyway. So I am opposed to the Greenhorn Creek Finnegan Lane road extension. I don't think it's appropriate, and I don't think, and the whole issue about the emergency services, we addressed that a couple of years ago. And it's not an issue with the police department, and it's not an issue with the fire department. So I really have to argue that and debate that particular line of logic when it comes to emergency services in that area. So again, I just don't want to see us dumping regional traffic into residential areas and into Finnegan Lane, because you know what will happen. And the map clearly shows 4,900 ADTs, or vehicles a day, going down in that general area of Finnegan Lane. And I just don't think that is right.
Okay, thank you, Craig. Now we're going to allow each candidate to wrap up here real quickly. No, we got to get back on time schedule here. So, Craig, we're going to start with you. If you could make a quick closing statement.
I think my issues have been pretty clear. I feel I bring a lot of business experience to this city, and I've been very supportive of many things that the Council and Planning Commission and the General Plan Circulation Committee has done. I think we need to be a little more a little bit more proactive. I think we need to be a city that's more proactive than reactive. I think we need to step back and use some common sense and logic as we apply some of the things we do in the city. And I think we need to be listening to our constituents. So I guess in all the city council meetings I've gone to, I think that the council has done a good job. I just see us moving forward because the issues are going to be becoming more and more complex. They're not going to be easy. We're moving in some difficult times. So I think we need to, again, be a little more proactive, use some common sense and logic, and move forward with a little more of a business approach to how we deal with the city than we've done in the past.
Thank you, Craig. Jay, your closing statement, please.
As you know, there's 4 of us. There's only 3 spots to vote for. My hope is that you'll decide that one of those votes you'll reserve for me. As I've tried to demonstrate, my approach is a little bit more down to earth in that I think the community should be involved in these sorts of decisions, and I like the ideas of having work groups and trying to come up with unique or creative ideas to make our city a better place to live. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Elaine?
I would just like to thank the chamber for having this meet the candidates night tonight and everyone that's come out. And I would just say that I would appreciate your vote in November. Thank you.
And Jack?
I would also like to thank the chamber for having this event tonight and for you folks being here. You must be interested or you would have taken the time. I think the City of Angels is a neat place to live. I think the city council we have now has done as good a job as can be asked for to get our city going and keep it going. I think we do need to be more proactive in business recruitment. Some of the things that have been going on as far as economic development, meetings, seminars, and so on, are things that we should have been doing 2 years ago when times were good, instead of waiting until the fan has been hit, so to speak. But it's things that we're still doing, and I'm sure they'll pay off in the long run. And again, thank you for coming, and come November, I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you all for participating. Now we're going to take about a 15-minute break. Diane Gray has very thoughtfully fixed up punch and cookies that she stayed up all night last night and made. So go out and enjoy some cookies. We'll be back in about 15 minutes.